Hello, my name is Travis, and today's study is called The Tares Among the Wheat. Now, throughout this study, I'd like to answer a few questions. The first question is, why is there so much evil in this world? Why is there so many evil people residing in this world? And number two, if God is all-powerful and all-sovereign over His creation, and if He's created the galaxies with the billions of Earths, including this Earth, then why does He allow evil people to reside within His creation? We know that evil within people came from Adam and Eve when they chose to sin in the Garden of Eden. Well, then why does God allow evil people to remain alive on this earth? Why doesn't God remove the evil people from our planet? For instance, if God would have chosen to remove bin Laden before He orchestrated the mass murder of Americans at the Twin Towers, or Adolf Hitler, as he orchestrated the execution of 6 million Jews, women, and children. To begin our study, let's turn to Genesis chapter 4, verse 1 and 2. It reads, "And Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived." Now in the Bible, when it says that somebody knew their wife or knew their husband, it means that they had sexual intercourse with that person. "And Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived, and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord." And in the second verse, the first part of number 2, it reads, "And she again bare his brother Abel." Now it isn't until Genesis chapter 4, verse 25, that Adam knew his wife again, meaning he had sexual relations with his wife again. This reveals to us that Cain and Abel were born from one act of sexual intercourse. This means that Cain and Abel are twins. Now God did this for a specific purpose. He wanted to show us that although Cain and Abel were twins, identical twins, and because of the fact they were from the same human father, that the sin in the Garden of Eden produced two different strains of seeds. The sons of the kingdom, the wheat, and the sons of the wicked one, the tares. And it doesn't matter who the father is, because Adam sinning with all humans within himself caused some to come out as tares and some to come out as the wheat.
Okay, here we're able to see Adam. And Adam had all of humanity within his loins. Every human that would come forth upon the earth was inside of Adam when Adam sinned against God. This decision of Adam infected the entire human race because we were all yet unborn within inside of Adam. And it was from that point on that there would be two different strains of humanity that would come forth from Adam. The first would be the tares. This is the evil seed, the sons of the wicked one. And this is represented by Cain. Came out despising God and turned into a cold-blooded killer. The second strain is the wheat strain. This is the godly seed, children of the promise. Abel represents this strain. These are the children of the kingdom of God.
Now, it wasn't until Cain and Abel began to grow and develop into young adults that they were able to see that Cain was actually a tare and that Abel was actually the wheat. Because it isn't until we become matured and developed that we are able to display the fruit of the Spirit within our lives. And when Cain was void of this fruit and despised God and even became a cold-blooded killer who killed his brother, and he only killed him because of the envy and jealousness that Abel's actions were righteous. It was his evil nature, being void of the fruit of the Spirit, that caused him to be ruled by his flesh and to kill his own brother. Let us turn to Romans chapter 9:8. It reads, "That is they which are the children of the flesh, these are not the children of God. But the children of the promise are counted for the seed. This is showing us that there are two strains that came forth from Adam. Now, as a result of Adam's sin in the Garden of Eden, when he chose to sin against God, he had all of humanity, every human that would ever come upon the earth, within him. This distorted his DNA along with theirs, which caused humans to come forth of two different strains of seeds. One, the good seed, the wheat, the fruit that God is trying to harvest on this planet, the sons of his kingdom. And number two, the sons of the wicked one, the tares, the weeds. Let us turn now to Matthew chapter 13, verse 24 through 30. Now this is a parable. A parable is a common everyday story that is enriched with godly hidden wisdom. Matthew chapter 13, verse 24 through 30. It reads, Another parable he put forth unto them, saying, The kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat, and went on his way. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst not thou sow good seed in thy field? From whence then has it tares? He said unto them, An enemy has done this. The servants said unto him, Will thou then that we go and gather them up? But he said, Nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow until the harvest. And in the time of harvest I will say to the reapers, Gather ye together first the tares, and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. Now this parable by Jesus is giving us some hidden wisdom. Let's read it again. Matthew chapter 13, verse 24 through 30. It reads, Another parable he put forth unto them, saying, The kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat. And what are tares? They're weeds. And went his way. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. See, in the two plants of the wheat and the tares of the weeds, when they're first sprouting in their infancy, they look exactly alike. Just like Cain and Abel, identical twins. But until the plant actually matures and begins to grow and develop into bearing its fruit, that's when you're able to tell that that is a tare or a weed and that there is the wheat. Because the weed will not produce the fruit of the wheat plant. Just like Cain and Abel, when they began to grow up and develop, you could see the fruit of God in Abel's life, but you could not in Cain's. Now, so the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst not thou sow good seed in thy field? From whence then has it tares? He said unto them, An enemy has done this. The servants said unto him, Wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? But he said, Nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. Now how is it possible that if the servants would have went out and started pulling the weeds, that they could in turn accidentally uproot a plant of wheat with it? Well, we know this is possible because if you plant two plants together, the roots of each plant beneath the soil will actually become tangled and intertwined with each other. So if you pull a weed, you may possibly uproot a plant of wheat with it.
Okay, here we have a look at the undersoil of some various plants. Here are the plants. But underneath the soil, their roots grow together and become tangled and intertwined. So if I pull the plant out over here, I may possibly uproot this plant along with it because the roots are so tangled together.
Instead, he says, let both grow together until the harvest. And in the time of the harvest, I will say to the reapers, gather ye together first the tares, and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. Now, why does he tell them to wait till the harvest? Well, he tells them to wait till the harvest because the actual wheat will be fully cultivated and ripened and ready to be harvested. So then if you pull a weed up and it pulls up the plant of the wheat, it doesn't matter because the wheat is ready. Okay? Now, we are very lucky in this parable to have Jesus actually explain and reveal the hidden keys to unlock this parable. Okay, let us now turn to Matthew chapter 36 through 40. So you are lucky with this parable because Jesus is about to explain the true meaning behind the story. He's about to reveal the hidden wisdom that this parable has been enriched with. Matthew chapter 13 verse 36 through 40. And it reads, Then Jesus sent the multitude away and went into the house. And his disciples came to him, saying, Declare unto us the parable of the tares in the field. He answered and said unto them, He that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom. But the tares are the children of the wicked one. The enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be at the end of this world. Now, if we take the time to really examine the hidden wisdom of this parable, we will be utterly amazed as it reveals the entire plan of God on this planet. Let's read it again. Then Jesus sent the multitude away and went into the house. And his disciples came to him, saying, Declare unto us the parable of the tares in the field. He answered and said unto them, He that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man. Now, when did the Son of Man sow the good seed into the earth? It was when he created and planted Adam into this earth. The field is the world. That's where he placed Adam into this world, the good seed. The good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. Now when Adam sinned, he had all of humanity within himself. Therefore it distorted his very DNA, his human nature. And because of this sin, his children and offspring for all the future generations would come out as two different seeds, two different strains of humanity. One would be the children of the kingdom, the wheat, the good seed, and the other would be the tares of the wicked one, the bad seed. The enemy that sowed them is the devil. Now, how did the devil sow the weeds among the wheat? He did this by influencing Adam to sin in the Garden of Eden. Therefore, two different children would come out of Adam. The seed of Cain, who would despise God, cold-blooded killers, completely ruled by their flesh, fleshly, natural children. And then the children of the promise, those of Abel's line, those who respect and love and honor God. Now it says that the harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be at the end of this world. In these two parables, Jesus reveals an ongoing situation that has been taking place since the beginning of time. The good seed Adam was planted to the earth, and an enemy came, Satan, to cause Adam to sin, to plant the tares among the wheat. Who exactly are the tares? In 1 John chapter 3 verse 12 we read, Not as Cain, who was of that wicked one, and slew his brother. Wherefore slew he him? Because his own works were evil, and his brother's righteous. Although they were both twins, and having the same human father, they came out as two different strains of humanity. Cain had it, both having a fallen nature. However, Cain had a fallen nature, plus was void of God's life. He was a strain completely ruled by the flesh. He was natural. Where Abel came out with a fallen nature, however, he was of the other strain. He was a child of God. He grew and developed to produce the fruit of righteousness that God so desires, the wheat. Now, if we take an examination of the first parable, remember when we talked about the weeds planted next to the wheat, and not to pluck the weed because it may uproot the wheat with it. Now, if we take that analogy and we apply it to this verse here, how is it possible that if there is a member of Cain's strain of humanity, one who despises God and will never accept Jesus Christ and is ruled by his flesh, if God plucks him out of the earth right now, how would that possibly uproot the wheat with him? Well, we know this because the seeds, okay, Adam had two children, Cain and Abel. Now, if we plucked Cain out, okay, let's say we plucked him out before he killed Abel to prevent that. Well, Cain's children can actually produce the wheat and the tares. They will produce two different strains, and vice versa. Abel could produce the tares and the wheat. So we can't pluck an evil person off the planet right now because his unborn children or his unborn children's children may contain the wheat seed within them. So we must let nature take its course. We must let all the children of God become ready to be harvested, to become to that point of being ripened. We need all the seeds of the children of God out first. Then, at the end of the world, God says, then I will send the angels to reap.
Okay, what we have here in this visual is on the left, Cain, which represents the ungodly seed, and on the right, Abel, which represents the godly seed. Okay, we have the tares, Cain, and the wheat, Abel. Now, what we notice about this is that either Cain or Abel can produce wheat or tares. They both are able to produce both strains of humanity. So let's say, for instance, if we go back to the original parable where the owner of the house tells the servants that they should not go pluck up the weeds because in doing so they may inadvertently uproot a plant of wheat with it. Okay? So, if we take that concept and apply it to the explanation that Jesus gives us, our understanding is the fact that we cannot pluck an individual off the earth just because he is evil, okay, before his time set by God. Because if we would pluck Cain off the earth just because he is evil before his time set by God, we must understand that his children could possibly be a wheat seed, or his children's children could possibly be a wheat seed. Therefore, we must let the entire timeline of God unfold until all the children of God are brought forth onto this planet, and then the tares will be gathered and burned in the fire. It is only then safe to pluck the tares because all of the fruit, the wheat seeds, have come forth. Now God, He is all-knowing and all-powerful. Okay? He created Satan knowing that Satan would one day rebel against him and that Satan would influence one of his other creations, man, to sin against God. He knew Satan would do this. He knew Adam would fall for it. Okay? But he put the plan in motion because it's all part of a plan. The evil seeds that are on this earth mixed in with the wheat are causing trials and tribulations and stress and growth and development for the wheat seeds. It's our experiences while on this planet. It is the fact that we go through trials and tribulations and that we struggle and strive every single day that is building the character that God foresaw and that God so desires from his spiritual creation, the wheat seed. Okay? The tares serve a purpose for being here. Another purpose they serve is the angels he is demonstrating throughout the entire galaxy by a special creation, the wheat, who live in a planet with evil, who will learn by experience. They will learn firsthand that God's way is the only way, that God's way is the correct way. Not because they've been told to believe that, but because they have lived in a world with evil. They have learned by experience that God's way is the right way.
I'm wondering. I'm wondering, is there still hope for the hopeless? And if heartbeat in your chest spell little change for the homeless? Man with his kids shaking his cup in your face. Is there any type of godliness still left in this place? Is there any hope left for the hopeless fiend? All he got left in his life is his pipe and his dreams. Only the Lord hears his pain in the night when he screams. Got caught up living a life that was not what it seems. Is there any hope left for the hopeless alcoholic? Every time she pass a pub, she can hear the bottle calling. Got you sick enough to believe the more you spend, the more you're balling. Only the Lord can get you lifted, but the devil be keeping you falling. Spiritual tug of war, internally brawling. We gotta keep running against the wind. There really ain't no time for stalling. And you know how it goes in this cold, sad world. Hold my hand, I'ma take you for a ride with me, girl.
Hope for the hopeless.
The forgotten, unforgiven, living overcrowded prisons with the thought of being free. The only thing to keep them driven, only to discover later they've been tricked from the beginning. The educated profit from the suffering and sinning, and the world keeps spinning while the sun keeps burning. Do we close their eyes while the wise keep learning? Now the youth base their worth on the rate that they earning. It's the blind leading the blind, so it ain't even concerning. Got kids raising kids, rising STDs. Put the man on the moon, but can't cure a disease. Babies dying overseas for college degrees. Political pawns put in position, protecting religious extremes. I ain't Martin Luther King, but I too have a dream to live in a world that hasn't been as corrupted as me. I ain't Martin Luther King, but I too have a dream to live in a world where God's the only ruler I see.
Hope for the hopeless. Hope for the hopeless. When you find yourself in sin, turn to the Lord, lift up your chin. 'Cause when Christ gets to your heart, hope begins, the journey starts. Hope for the hopeless. Hope for the hopeless.
The forgotten, unforgiven, living overcrowded prisons with the thought of being free. The only thing to keep them driven, only to discover later they've been tricked from the beginning. The educated profit from the suffering and sinning, and the world keeps spinning while the sun keeps burning. Do we close their eyes while the wise keep learning? Now the youth base their worth on the rate that they earning. It's the blind leading the blind, so it ain't even concerning.